Hey guys, and welcome to Sounds Like NYC episode 26. This is a special episode because this is the first episode that I'm in the new office.
Wow.
So I used to work at WeWork about 3 blocks away.
Okay.
Switched companies, and now I'm here in Green Desk on Northern Boulevard. Mm-hmm. And it's also another first because it's the first person I met on Shaper who was here.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. A day of firsts.
Day of first.
So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
So hi everyone. I'm Dora. I'm Dora Endre. I'm from Hungary. Very small country.
Interesting.
Very famous for goulash and stuff like that. I don't know. You know goulash? It's a soup. No, you don't. It's a meat.
I haven't met him.
I haven't met him. Okay. Well.
Is he an actor?
Yeah. Sure. Bela Lugosi, okay. Dracula, maybe.
All right.
He was Hungarian.
I know
Dracula.
Just up like in a couple years.
Yeah. So, so I'm from Hungary and I studied film and theater there.
Okay.
Media, stuff like that. And now I'm here in New York. I mean, I lived for a while in Italy.
Oh wow.
I was studying filmmaking there. And now I'm here in town, aspiring, trying to fly with my non-existent wings.
Cool.
So that's what's happening at this point.
Awesome. So I mean, I always like to go, take it back as far as you can. So, you're a film student then, right?
Yes.
So you've always been attracted to film and acting and producing.
I think my first
aspect.
thing was theater.
Okay.
Probably. Because we had this very progressive theater in Budapest.
Okay.
When I was growing up, I was at high school.
Right.
And it got very popular, especially among students. Because it was very relatable and very just real.
Right.
It wasn't like the fake theater that I honestly don't like.
Yeah.
It was a lot of contemporary stuff, but a lot of original stuff and a lot of Shakespearean classics, but interpreted in very new ways. So it was very progressive.
Okay.
Plus, it went against politics.
Oh.
So that was very interesting to me because when you see a theater company like that,
right.
and when you see those plays, you really start thinking a different way. And it was just very thought-provoking, and eventually it had a very strong audience.
Right.
We got to know one another. It was really like a community. And then our political power, the government, essentially destroyed the whole thing. Because it was too progressive. It was too much against them. So I think that's when I realized. when I realized that art has that power of really making people aware. Yeah, and those, it's just So that's how it started for me.
Interesting.
Yes.
So I mean, you said you moved to Italy after Hungary and then over here.
Yes.
So how do you feel like, politic-wise, does your art affect it? You know what I mean? It felt it sounds like it had a big effect in Hungary.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same thing in Italy? Do you feel the same thing over here? Or I feel like over here because we have freedom of speech.
In Hungary we have the freedom of speech, okay?
Right.
So it's not like Korea. Though, there are similarities.
Yeah.
But I think, theater in Hungary, it was very strong, it was very powerful, very different from theater in Italy or from here, honestly.
Right.
I mean, here in New York especially, it's very commercialized, clearly. It's hard to find those plays. Those are the small plays, the small spots where you really see something happening. Broadway is different. It's very entertaining, obviously, but it's more business oriented in general. And then I don't like generalizing, but it's pretty much true.
I get that. I can see that for sure.
Yeah. So honestly, theater-wise, I think Hungary and Eastern Europe or Central Europe, Germany too, it's a lot stronger, it's a lot different, it's a lot more outspoken normally.
Okay.
But it's hard for them because, again, normally the political powers do not like those places. So it's they are creating their shows out of nothing, pretty much.
Okay.
Film-wise, it's hard to tell. Here, obviously, there's Hollywood, and then normally what people say in Europe that there's Hollywood and then there's the cinema, and it sounds horrible, and I wouldn't say that's always true.
Right.
Well, in Hungary, we don't have a lot of money in culture in general.
Okay.
So it's now it's getting better with film. These days, the last few years, we got a bunch of nominations all over the place, which helps.
Right.
In Italy, what I know is that essentially they are struggling a lot because the economic situation is just very bad. But like, hey, it's pretty much everywhere. I know
it's everybody. You know what I mean?
It's everywhere.
Do you know that like in the last 200 years, I read there's like 88 countries have filed for bankruptcy?
No way.
And the United States has filed for bankruptcy like 5 times
No
since its
way.
inception. It's pretty crazy, right?
It's crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well.
No, but it's kind of interesting how you said that in Hungary, you know, people make shows that are nothing and it has so much political weight. Whereas here, you know, Broadway, you know, millions and millions of dollars are put into it.
Yeah.
But it's not really saying anything political really.
Or new or something that
Exactly.
would bring some change. I don't know, in the minds or whatever. And I think it's a wasted opportunity because art has so much power. And just like Broadway, we are mentioning constantly how many people are there on a daily basis in the audiences. Like you are wasting that precious opportunity to talk about something that can actually help this country and just in general.
Well, I mean, the issue with that, I guess, is like it's a sliding scale, right? If you go too political, people aren't as entertained, and then nobody.
I'm not only talking about politics, but it's there are social issues that we are not talking about either. I'm not just saying that it must be political, it must be against this party or that party or this person or that person. But there are a bunch of issues that we don't talk about. And if, for example, here it's the same thing as Hungary, okay, let's find something that's very common. Healthcare or education.
Right.
Both are very huge problems because we don't have healthcare or we have very expensive, unreachable education.
Right.
We could talk about that. There could be a play that's, it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be all classical. It doesn't have to be very serious. In fact, comedy is a good way to talk about those problems. And normally those plays work a lot better. That has comedy or music. That's good. Yeah. That's great. It reaches people. It catches people easily.
I mean, I've always felt like that too. I felt like, if you want to see where we are as a culture, the best way to look at it is to go to like a comedian, like whatever they're talking about. Because they're so in it, like they have to be in it constantly to really touch a nerve on people and like actually have that effect on people. I like comedy a lot.
I like comedy a lot too.
I'm a failed comedy.
You are?
No, I never started.
No, you never tried it?
I never started. I'm a film musician. That's what I am.
Okay, good.
But I never did anything out of high school, so that doesn't really count either.
The one thing that you mentioned about the money, that there are so many extremely expensive things going on in this town, and just plays and movies and whatever. That's one thing that pisses me off so badly constantly, because it just feels like we watch this or that movie, and then I feel, how many other great, really important, more artistic things could have been done out of that money. Like it's hundreds. I know it's pointless and life is unfair and whatever, and it's all about the business. I get it, and blockbusters, but there are so many movies already. I can feel it, and it's not even the season yet for the awards, but it just feels like we already wasted a lot of good movies because you don't hear about them anymore. They came out, I don't know, probably in Cannes or like in Venice, and they're just sort of lost because they didn't have the marketing power. Clearly, and they were shot on a low budget, in a few days, whatever. But they are much better than the ones that we still talk or we just start talking about. I know,
but I feel like it's good that we're thinking about this at a time where we are now, because let's say like what's a small budget for a movie?
$1 million, I guess.
Let's say we have that, like $500,000, right? Put that, and then we could put $500,000 into like active like social media marketing or something like that, right? And then we can still reach the same amount of people.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, it's a good.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? It's good that we think about this now because we have the power to do it.
Yeah, it's true.
So we just need people who are motivated enough to kind of, I guess, do it. I don't know.
Well, Yeah, very. You have to be sort of a bit insane. That's my conclusion. If you really want to do it, if you really want to put together these projects that are low, but like you really have to go for it and not sleep a lot and stuff like that. Because otherwise, it's just not gonna happen. Because it's hard. I mean, some people normally do not realize, hey, it sounds good that we shot a feature, we shot this cool short that went to like everywhere, you know. But in the meantime, it's just very hard. And sometimes you hear these crazy stories like it's 10 years or 15 years where they are just raising the money, going to places, begging for people or festivals for support, and then eventually they can shoot it, and then there are other problems producing, whatever, marketing, you know, whatever. So you have to be very dedicated, and it's not like I'm being pathetic, and sometimes I question it in me, though I really love what I'm doing. But there are those moments when you're like, I should have just studied, I don't know, law or something normal. Well, struggling artist. That's just such a cliche.
No, but it's true. I mean, you know, at some point it wasn't a cliche, it was just truth, right?
Yeah.
And then turned to cliche. But I mean, I feel like everybody feels like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, what do we do? We're fucked, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the conclusion. I'm leaving now.
I mean, so you've been in a lot of things though, right? You've had your hands in a lot of
yes, that's what I would do. I love theater, film, but I think, as we just said, like when you're starting off, you have to deal with a lot of different tasks regarding your project. It's not just like, hey, I'm directing because I like to direct. No, I have to produce stuff and I have to market stuff, which shouldn't be obviously my first field. It's not my major duty. Or you have to jump into acting something. That's why it's very useful that I'm learning a lot of things, honestly, because you can you're creative. I think that's probably the source of all of it. And then you can find a way to fix things. Not only, and you have to be social. That's the other thing that I feel like is essential, so that you can talk to people and you can just, and I'm not talking about investors only or whatever, but you can really communicate well. So that's why I feel like studying media, studying communication, or studying film theater, it's just all melts into one big ball. It feels like it's useful. And also acting, even if you want to direct, clearly you can talk to people. You understand their language. So it's very useful either way.
I mean, I feel like that's the thing with artists. You can't ever just focus on one thing. You have to like... I've worked with a couple artists, and the reason why I personally feel like a lot of people fail is because artists just focus on the art.
Yeah, but that's a problem with education too. Even if you go to do schools, normally there are no business classes or marketing classes, like really practical stuff. I'm having sometimes fights with my teachers these days, because there are people who are like 17, 18, and we have the same class. And if a teacher says, for example, that if I go to an audition, if something goes wrong, then I should be ironic and just try to joke, but in an ironic way, maybe, you know, that's like getting out of a certain situation. That's a good path. I don't feel like these things or these tips or advices are really useful in the long run. Like you have to, I know it's hard, but you have to stay polite and just, you never know what's gonna happen next. Maybe there's another person in the room that you're gonna say something that's kind of rude, or that can be interpreted in a way. And the other person who really likes you will take it to his heart too, and never again talk to you or call you back or whatever. Like, it's just, especially when you're young, you have to stay relaxed, and you can be angry at home, and I don't know, you can punch a hole in the wall. I don't know, like, do whatever you want to do, literally, as long as it just considers you. But you have to be smart with all that, and that's, again, social skills. And we do not talk about that, like how to communicate with people, how to work with a director if you study.
Do you feel, I hope I don't get lashed, but do you feel that going to school for art is a waste of money? Like, you're almost done with it now, right? You're like a month before you graduate. So I feel like you're one I can take an opinion for. I feel like it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
I feel like
many people think that. So it's
because I feel like most of the skills that they teach you could have gotten from like if you studied an artist firsthand, if like you were like an apprentice to a certain producer or something, or you paid for a couple of master classes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good at the beginning.
Right.
If you have the money and if you find a good school, film, theater, whatever, acting, whatever you want to do, it's good if you have the basics for a technique.
Okay.
Because that's a problem with acting in general. There are very good schools, I wouldn't name them in town. I'm not going that far.
Tell me later.
Okay. But they teach no technique. So people come out of those schools and they don't. It's like they do not speak any language.
Right.
It's pretty similar to that. So you cannot really work with them because they do not know. Like they work on scenes and they work on whatever they have to work on, character, whatever.
Right.
But they do not really know exactly the structure or the way, because there are many ways. There are 3-4 very well-known ways how you can approach the work. So you have to at least get familiar with some of it. Again, it might be a workshop for you or a night conservatory. It can work, but you need some technique. It's the same thing for film. If you do not know the basics for it, that's just my thing. But if you do not know the basics of it, basic editing skills, basic whatever, I know you can. If you're very dedicated, you can teach yourself a lot. That's what I've been doing, honestly, because school was never really enough for me. So you have to spend that extra time just reading up on stuff and, I don't know, YouTube, workshops, online master classes. It's such a great source because you can do it wherever, whenever you want to do it. You have an extra weekend, you learn something new in this town especially, you find something. Later on, I don't think that a lifelong standard education is very useful, because later on you can just build on that all by yourself or with those extra opportunities. At the beginning, probably, because also like if you go to a special school, if you're lucky and there's a good community around you that inspires you, and you have to spend a lot of time together, so it pressures you to do more. We have in Budapest this very famous school where they are practically sleeping at the school. There are different times, so it's so intense, which is good.
No, I mean I
you have to make it intense in one way or another.
Right. So you feel like school is only good because it puts that pressure on people that they wouldn't get like outside of school?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about standard education.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I mean,
because sometimes we just get lazy and
no, sure, but what about, let's say, the person who's trying to make it as an actor, right?
Just don't. Just don't.
And is living in Manhattan, which is stupid. And,
under a bridge.
It's stupid. Yeah, exactly. And trying to make ends meet, like, meaning that's a pressure too, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I think that's how should I put it? I don't want to offend anybody. So if you are an actor, let's say in Manhattan, young, struggling,
right?
That's a pressure. I think that's a good thing, actually. For me, I know I'm not from this country. It's a good thing too. There's a pressure. There's extra pressure. I have to do certain things now.
You feel like you have to prove yourself, yeah.
Or I have to leave. Hey, it's just very simple.
Right.
It's now or never. So I'm at school, but in the meantime, I'm directing off-Broadway. I have to jiggle. I have to do these things at the same time. So it's a good thing. I think honestly, I think we're gonna gain a lot more out of this than just being rich students studying in Manhattan, acting because it sounds good. Because these people have no pressure.
Right.
Because they have a fancy apartment in Manhattan. They really live in Manhattan. Sorry.
No, no,
yeah,
you're right. You're right.
Sorry.
You're right. No, you're not saying anything wrong. You're not saying, it's not like not everybody's thinking like it. You know, I mean.
It does. Now that's no pressure.
Right, but then in that case, then those.
But they do not want it really. By the way, I have to tell you, it just sounds very good. So they are not really dedicated.
So they're just doing it for like the name of like. Oh,
it's good. Hey, I study acting because I was sent by my parents, and I can spend 3 years, I don't know, in New York just studying, and then they're gonna get the papers either ways because they have some connections, or they have enough money to pay a good lawyer. Oh, I'm very outspoken. I'm gonna drink coffee. It's just coffee. It's no alcohol.
Mine has alcohol. wish my uncle. Yeah. So what do you have going on right now?
Multiple nervous breakdowns at the same time.
Me too.
Very good. You want to talk about that?
I'd rather not. Like keeping everything bottled up. Just nailed into my mouth.
Okay, later.
Yeah.
Later, with naming the schools. Yeah. So at this moment, I'm finishing with school. I'm gonna shoot something in Italy in a month.
Oh wow! You didn't tell me it was Italy. I thought it was around here.
Oh, that's too simple.
Yeah, fancy.
Fancy. I'm dying, dude.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I mean, that's what your 20s are for. You have to like work like a dog for your 20s, so you can live comfortably.
Retire
after
your 30th birthday. That's my plan. Just retire and drink. Well, so that's happening in December, and then I'm coming back, and I'm directing off-Broadway. A friend of mine has a new play, so we're doing that. Plus, we are having a comedy show. It's a repetitive thing. It's a returning thing, and then in May we're shooting a pilot. These are the plans for sort of winter, spring, artistic.
So you have anything coming out soon, or
coming out soon? Well, we had shows going on all over this year. Okay. So we wrapped up the last one in August, and we did an off-Broadway before that, and another off-Broadway before that. We shot 2 shorts. They are competing at this point, different festivals here and in Europe. Cool. So that's happening. They are not out yet because it's still the festival thing going on. Fingers crossed. The nominations are nice. Visa, here I come. So
you just marry one of those guys from Manhattan. That's another way.
Yeah.
I have to delete that part. They might catch it. That's it.
So that's
it. You don't have anything else. That's it.
That's it.
I would say I expect more from you. I thought you.
What do you want to? Okay, I didn't ask questions. Hey, dude, am I a reporter? I studied some journalism. You want me to? Yeah.
Oh, so
with the communication media thing.
So interview at the end of it. I'm not gonna put this out.
Okay. Then I shut up. Whatever. Okay. I mean, we wasted the morning. That's fine.
What do you?
I got coffee.
What do you want to leave with?
Be creative. But I have to come up with a question too.
No, I mean, what do you want to leave with? Like, what do you want your last statement to be?
It's very philosophical. I don't know.
We'll cut it. That's it.
I mean, I think if you are an artist,
right,
or you just somebody who very badly wants something, the pressure is a good thing, but after a while you just have to let it go.
Okay.
Like, you are prepared, you are doing your things, you have the dedication, you are self-learning, self-teaching, whatever you do, but after a while you cannot stress out too much. Let's say you're putting together a project and it's going to fall apart every second day, I'm telling you. You shouldn't give up, clearly, because those people are not giving up who are struggling for 10 years.
So you should continuously challenge yourself.
Challenge yourself, but do not stress out.
Don't get too caught up in it.
Because what I can see is that those people are never reaching what they want to reach. Because they are stressing out, and you have to enjoy the process even if it's hard. A good friend of mine told me that pray for problems. Not for multiple problems at the same time. That was my answer, because it can be too much. But it's good to learn how to fix problems in a way that still your mind is clear. You know what's happening. You can slow down if it's needed. It's good if you can teach yourself to slow down for a day, for 2. Just cook something, watch a movie, I don't know, do something that you like. Because it's stressful. It's very stressful. You should. Ridley Scott says that you shouldn't do art if you cannot handle stress, because then you just shouldn't do it.
Same thing with business. We shouldn't do business.
And then I think it's too general. it's too harsh of a statement for me.
I think that art and business go hand in hand more than people want to admit.
Exactly.
And I feel like the problem with the artist, it's the same thing. The problem with the businessman, they don't want to meet each other halfway.
Yeah.
Because especially in this day and age, you need both.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because they are very different in a lot of sense. And if you sit down with a business person, and if you're an artist, you have a different take on things, and you see it from different angle.
Right.
But eventually, the goal is very similar to give people something, and then obviously to get money out of it.
Right.
It's hard. I mean, communications again, and
it's all about reach and receive.
Yeah.
Right. That's basically it.
That's it. Yeah, totally agree.
It was really great having you.
It was great. Thank you.
And you didn't dive over the coffee.
I didn't, but I didn't drink the whole thing.